again from the garden. It's Christina from Sunshine and Flora. So as you saw in the beginning of this video, I am out here busy planting. It is finally time to get all the cut flowers planted in the garden. I have been wanting to get this started for a couple weeks. We have had rain almost every other day, and it seems like every time it rains, it's an inch. And so the ground has just been so muddy. But now we're in a dry stretch. The ground is great. And so we have been prepping the beds, laying the landscape fabric, and doing all the things to get ready for planting. So in this video, I'm just going to set the camera up as I work, show you what I'm doing and where I'm planting things to get ready for the cut flower season. If you're new to my channel, I grow cut flowers in Zone 5A in Northwest Iowa. I sell at my local farmer's market by special order, and we are renovating the next door building for a retail space. So the first thing that I planted, which if you saw my previous video, I showed this a little bit. This is a patch of statice, and in fact, this whole bed all the way down to the end over here, this is all going to be statice. The seedlings that are going in this other spot are hardening off right now. They were started a little bit later, but these seedlings were a lot farther along and were ready to get in the ground, so I went ahead and popped them in yesterday. If you're not familiar with what hardening off means, it's basically getting your seedlings ready to plant outside. You've started them inside and they are in such a controlled environment. If you were to put them straight out into the garden, they may not do so well. So I tend to harden my seedlings off for about 5 to 7 days. The first day I'll put them out a couple hours, then 2 hours, then 4 hours the next day, and so on, so that they get adapted to the temperatures and the wind outside. So that's what my statice and a lot of other things are doing right now in preparation to get them in the garden. I have a few things that are nice and far along in the garden. One is all of this self-seeded bells of Ireland, and I actually need to come through here and thin these out, but they are happy as can be. I also have a very small patch of yarrow right here that actually is shooting up some bloom stalks already. And my mountain mint is coming back strong. This is a really beautiful filler. Also earlier today, which you saw in this video, I got my Rudbeckia planted. So this bed is about 6 feet deep. At the back, I have 22 peonies. This is just the first season for them, so I did not harvest off of them. In fact, if there were any buds, I went ahead and clipped them off just so the plants can develop as much energy as possible. So in the front, this is all Sahara Rudbeckia, and down towards the end in this corner, there is a little bit of prairie sun. But I think the balance in this bed will be perfect with the peonies harvesting in spring towards the back and the Rudbeckia harvesting in the summer at the front. The other thing that I did today was start laying landscape fabric in this bed, which is next to the neighboring building. This is the building that we are renovating for the retail space. In fact, it just got tuck pointed. And while I'm not going to plant in this bed right now, I wanted to go ahead and get it covered. We need to leave this area open down here because that is where the HVAC will be coming in. Believe it or not, this building has never had a furnace in it or an air conditioner. Whenever the boiler got removed, I don't know, 30 years ago, they never put in anything. So we have some mechanical things that have to go here. Then I can finish laying landscape fabric and then eventually plant this entire bed. I have some plugs of Bupleurum coming the end of June, which I've planted in this bed before, and I'm thinking that is perfect to go in this space. The next area I'm going to start working on is this huge middle bed. If you've been watching my videos for some time, you remember that this is where my greenhouse was, and we moved it out into the other part of the garden. This frees up so much planting space for me this year. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to cover about half of this bed with landscape fabric and start burning the holes. Snapdragons are what I want to plant first, starting at the end. And then towards the back half of the bed, that is where my dahlias are going to go. Those will not be landscape fabric around the dahlias, but I will do a landscape fabric as a path. So that's what I'm going to start working on now. Okay, so now that my landscape fabric is laid, the next thing that I want to do is start burning holes in it. And since this is going to be snapdragons, I got my tape measure. I like to plant my snapdragons at 4 inches apart. So when I say 4 inches, that means 4 inches this way and 4 inches this way. And I like to make my beds about 3 feet wide. So each of these yellow lines, if you can see that, marks out a foot. So it'll be 1, 2, 3 wide. Then I will have a walking path that's probably 2 feet wide, and then I will continue on with another 3-foot pathway. And what I use to burn my holes, it's really easy, is one of these little kitchen torches. I have it linked in my Amazon link down below, but this is super easy. I know some people will make templates that they come through and burn all at the same time, and that works really fast too. But this for me is the easiest. So I have a whole video on this if you guys want to see a more in detail process. But basically what I do, I'll lay out my tape measure, and I'm gonna start pretty close here in the corner. Whoops. And we'll see if it ends up being too breezy right now. If it's breezy at all, this doesn't work. I might have to wait till morning to do a lot of these holes, but we will try it. I can feel the wind is coming right at me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line it up with my tape measure, and I'm gonna go every 4 inches, and I'm just gonna go all the way down the line. I don't wanna start too close to my timber here. I think I'm gonna kind of start a 1/2 foot in. There we go. So 1, 5, 9. And once you get it going, you can kind of tell how far apart your holes are. I think I'm even jumping the gun and making them a little too far apart. Better get back on task here. It's easy to do, especially when your tape measure flips over. Here we go. All right. So that's basically it. That's how I burn my holes. So I'm gonna do that for this whole 3-foot path, and then I think I'm gonna try and get some snapdragons in the ground. All right, I got the first 3 feet of the holes burned. So I have 30 this way, 7 this way. That is 210 snapdragons just in the first 3 feet of my garden bed. I'm gonna be able to fit so much in this spot. So I think I'm gonna start plugging some in the ground. Let me go grab a tray and some garden soil that I'm going to put in around each plant just to amend things a little bit, and we'll see how many I can get in the ground before I gotta go get my daughter from daycare. Okay, I have a 1/2 hour. Let's see how many snapdragons I can get in the ground. This is a 72 cell tray, and this is Cherry Twist. This is a new variety I've never tried before. Is this Baker Creek? I can't remember. Anyway, I thought it was beautiful, and it was tall enough on the package for cut flowers. So I like to take a little bit of organic garden soil or raised bed mix or compost or something and just kind of put it in around each plant as I plant them. And that also helps, like in the corners here where it's a little bit more not as tilled. That just kind of helps get some nice soft soil in around each of the seedlings. And it honestly kind of makes it go faster. Some of my plugs, I'll zoom in a second here for you guys. Some of my plugs also have more than one snapdragon per cell, because when you buy plugs from somewhere like Farmer Bailey, you will a lot of times have more than one snapdragon per cell. And snapdragons are plants that you can do that with. They don't mind having a neighbor. So if I thin them and not down to 1, if I just leave them as 2, that's double the flowers and they're happy. All right, let me zoom in for you guys. Okay, this should be a closer view for you guys. So here is what my snapdragon looks like. Roots are clearly revolving around the bottom, so this is ready to get planted. And you can see I have 2 nice snapdragons here, and these have been pinched, so they are starting to sprout at the top. So this soil has been tilled, so I just kind of make a hole with my hand, and then I'm just gonna drop some of this garden soil around the top, push it in, and that's how I plant it. Just kind of make a hole with my finger. Go. Another one. Now I've got to do these two because I did that one and then it's going to look off to me. Oh, this one's broken. That's okay. It's like I pinched it. Now the end ones get a little cloddy because you can't get the tiller right up to the edge. So this is where I really like to put more garden soil around there, and it kind of amends that and makes it softer. Here's another one that has 2 snapdragons. This year I did mostly Potomac and Maryland varieties. Put this guy right here, my tag. I have a lot of snapdragons planted in the hoop house, so those will be the first ones that I harvest from. And these will probably be the second ones. And all of them should bloom all season long. I had really good luck with my snapdragons in the hoop house last year, blooming the entire season. I talked to a fellow gardener recently and she was very surprised by that. But I guess when you pick the right variety, which last year it was Potomac, this year it's Maryland, they're bred for greenhouses. All right, let's see how many of these I can get planted before I have to go to daycare. Okay, you guys, I was able to get one whole 72 cell tray in super quick. I need to get these watered in. I need to water my greenhouse, and then I'm gonna go pick up my daughter from daycare. So this video will continue tomorrow morning when I'm out here planting again. All right, you guys, so it's the next day. I had filmed like 5 segments in between all of my plantings showing you guys things, and my microphone was dead the whole entire time. So I am redoing this part of the video. I am going to film one long segment to show you everything that I got done today. Sometimes that just happens. So anyway, let's just take a walk around the garden and I will give you all the updates. So the middle part of this garden is really where I worked a lot this morning, as you can see. So I have the front bed here of 210 snapdragons all planted. The second bed, I fit 144 more snapdragons there. This was an empty spot right here, and while I would have loved to do 4-inch spacing there with something, I didn't have anything ready and I really just wanted to get it planted. So I ended up doing 9-inch spacing and popping some straw flower in there. So I already have a note to myself for 2025, these 2 beds will hold 7 trays of 72 snapdragons, and then it will all look the same. But this will be okay because the straw flower and the snapdragons should get about the same height, and they will all fit in the Hortonova netting when I put that in there just fine. So then if we turn this way, this entire bed is now prepped for my dahlias, and I will do a whole separate video on that for you guys. But basically I have 3-foot planting beds and 2-foot pathways with the landscape fabric. So this is all prepped and ready to go. Today's Friday. I think that I will get these all planted, if not over the weekend, on Monday. So I am really happy with the progress that I made in this area this week. Next week we'll do the dahlias. I'll plant the status over here. I'll thin the bells of Ireland, and this area should be all ready to go, minus this bed that I will do after the HVAC is put into the neighboring building. So the other area that I was planting in was my cottage garden area, and I apologize the lighting isn't amazing because I'm half shade, half sun. Let me move over here once. Okay, that might be a little better too because the wind was hitting my microphone. But this area is on the outside of the fence, and it really is a nice backdrop for when you pull into the parking lot back here. This area was pretty empty, so I ended up filling this whole front area in with the remaining Sahara Rudbeckia. In here I have a whole bunch of yarrow, and then back in here, there we go, my screen's brightening. I have a bunch of echinacea and some daisies. The echinacea have been self-seeding and spreading, which is really exciting. But towards the back, I have a strip where I used to plant cosmos, and I decided to plug in back there all of my Indian summer Rudbeckia. And that line continues all the way down here. So I'll have a solid backdrop of the Indian summer Rudbeckia. And then, I hope you guys can see this okay, here and there, I dotted some in here and some way over here. They're just kind of sporadic filling in this area between the echinacea. There's a baptisia over here. So this is filling in this cottage garden area, but everything in here can also be my cutting garden. This front curved area of the cottage garden space, these are all of my Fama White Scabiosa from last year. I think I'm going to continue filling in this area so it's one massive area of that. I do need to leave a walkway of some sort here, and this area kind of has to be retooled because when they tuck pointed the building, that is where the lift came in and kind of demolished some things. So this will all get repaired as well, but I'm very happy with how this end is right now. All right, so that is the full update on the garden planting. I'm really happy with what I got done today, and I started a bunch more seeds hardening off. Oh, you know what? That is something that my microphone also went dead on. Let me hop out there and show you guys that really quick. So I also showed this to you when my microphone went dead before, but these are some of the seedlings that I brought out here to start hardening off today. I have some feverfew, and then this is some clary sage, some more status that'll get planted next week, and then some more feverfew, saponaria, and honeywort. I will be direct sowing saponaria, but I wanted to start some from seed as well. I also brought out here, and these have gone inside already, my dahlia cuttings, my dahlia tubers that were starting to grow, and my mahogany splendor hibiscus. Okay, now I think that I have showed you everything when my microphone was dead. So anyway, I was saying I'm really happy with what I got done today, and I have a really good start for next week, and I think hopefully, if it doesn't rain, I should get a majority of the rest of my planting done next week. So watch for part 2 of planting the urban cut flower garden, and watch for my dahlia video. And I also am going to have a video coming out on the building renovation updates. So anyway, hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. Stay tuned for a lot more as always, and we'll see you soon.